kind of lonely up here. Everybody deserted me up here. I want to thank Reverend Dr. James for inviting me to fill in today. You know, there's so many people that it takes to put together a Sunday service. Connie, oh my gosh, without Connie, I don't know what Reverend James would do. And everybody who's on sound, all the band, everybody here, anyone involved that has helped to make this morning happen. You can imagine my surprise as I'm sitting back there. It's a little bit easier to see people in the audience. Right now, you're all just nothing. You're just one big blob. But as I was sitting back there, I happened to notice this woman in the front row smiling at me. I'm a little nearsighted. Smiling at me. And I thought, who the heck is that? And so I put my hand up and I looked up, and it's my sister. What is she doing here? Reverend Donna Winchell, Donna Lind, would you please stand up so everybody can see my sister? She's all the way here from Hemet, so it was a little bit of a trek for her to get here. Did you stay overnight? Yes, good. Well, now I'm really nervous because she's here listening to me. No, I'm not. So good morning.
Good morning.
I want to tell you how happy I am that you are here today. I am so happy. This is a good morning. And it's a morning that wouldn't be the same if just one of you were not here. It is a good morning because you have all beckoned one another to dress up and show up, to be here this morning, to be in partnership, the collective consciousness of the Global Truth Center this morning. It is a good morning. So turn to someone, say good morning, and really mean it. Oh, please. Good morning. Good morning. All right, good. My talk today is called Transformation Through Grace. And the theme, I guess, for James and him asking me to speak to this is the theme for the entire month. And the heartbeat of transformation through grace is created simply by us changing our attitude. It's as easy as that. And how to do it is simple. And rather than have you wait till the end of my talk to find out the answer as a lost leader like some people do, I'm going to tell you right now, get happy. Get happy. Now, I could sit down and I could not say one more thing, but then I wouldn't have earned my keep. So I need to continue. Raymond Charles Barker said in The Power of Decision, there's a whole chapter devoted to happiness. Decide to be happy. But that's only a portion of the equation. Deciding to be happy and actually acting upon it are two different things. So there are 5 frogs sitting on a log. One of those frogs decides to jump off. How many frogs are on the log? Well, it's a trick question because there are 5 frogs on the log. Deciding to jump off and actually doing it are two different things. Deciding to be happy is only part of it. I have to take action. And being happy doesn't require anything to change appreciably in my life. It doesn't require any of that. What changes is what I think about what's happening in my life. Someone has already said that. Jay probably said that already this morning. Now, transformation is different than change. Change happens out there, right? It happens at a 5 sensory level. Transformation happens within each one of us. It's not complicated. It really isn't. Transformation happens when we're willing to look at the world objectively. And for most of us of voting age, I wonder how easy that is these days. Oh, please. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of attending a workshop at the Granada Health Center, and the facilitator of the workshop was a Chinese medicine doctor, Tesoro Hirano. And he's also an acupuncturist, and he's a beautiful, beautiful human being. When Reverend Mike had given me the brochure for his new practice that he was setting up, I looked at the photograph on the front of the brochure and I thought, wow, this looks really familiar. Turns out that he had set up his practice in the shopping center right across the street from where I live in Westlake Village. And I thought, well, isn't this easy? Dr. Hirano was my coach during this workshop. And anytime I have the opportunity to be mentored or coached by someone, I take it. And it was nonetheless true of Dr. Hirano. And Jay, telling you that I was his teacher along the way, he was also my teacher. He also coached me and mentored me. And it's true of every class I've ever taken or every class that I've ever taught. I have been mentored and coached by each and every student that showed up in class. Many of them had no clue that that's what they were doing. None of them actually probably had any clue. And that's the beauty of transformation through grace. It comes on angels' feet sometimes from the most unlikely people. And unless you've been kind of living under a rock lately, you know, as I said earlier, that it's an election year and everyone involved, all my friends on Facebook have been my coaches. Sometimes in a really good way and sometimes in not such a good way. And I watch how I respond on a visceral level to what I've noticed. Some of them agree with me and some of them do not agree with me. I have been coached. Either way, I have been coached. And listening to what Dr. Hirano said that first night kept me coming back for the next 2 weeks in the very same way that I kept coming back to the science of mind when I first started out. One of my very first teachers was someone named Dr. Earl Barnum. He had a center at Oso and Sherman Way in Canoga Park. And that very first Sunday that I went there to hear him speak at the request of my employer, who thought I needed help, apparently, at that time. I actually did. And Dr. Barnum said, you may not believe everything you hear today, but you may hear something that you already believe. And that's the thing that kept me coming back over and over and over again. I did hear something I already believed, and that kept me coming back. Now, that first night with Dr. Hirano, he was talking about source energy as a means to heal ourselves. And this is all part and parcel of the transformation. This requires that we be transformed at some very deep intrinsic level. And so focusing our attention on the physical body to what hurts keeps the pain alive and perpetuates it. Instead, focusing on the healing energy of God and focusing that light energy on the pain, the area of pain, it removes the pain. And I began to practice this over and over again. I volunteered to be the guinea pig for him that night because, and with the help of the whole group of people that was there, I had relief from a pain in my neck that had bothered me for probably 7 or 8 weeks. And of course, we could go to the mental equivalent, as it says in Alice Steadman's book, Who's the Matter with Me? She says in there that, you know, when we have a pain in the butt or a pain in the neck, it's generally someone in our lives that's creating that for us. And I got to discover all the wonderful coaches in my life that I had deemed as pains in the neck. And the moment I stopped giving the energy to them, the pain went away. I know it sounds so simple, but it's not always easy to do. Transformation through grace happens when we realize that the connection to source energy, creative intelligence, spirit, God, whatever it is that you choose to call it, we realize that it can be weakened sometimes. But the source energy always remains constant. Our connection to it weakens. And we end up with mixed energies. Terribly mixed energies. People wonder why spiritual mind treatment doesn't work for them. It's because they're treating from a mixed energy. We have to be specific about what it is that we want and how we want our lives to be. And so I forgot that for a little while because monkey mind helped to create that pain in my neck. Once it was acknowledged and dismissed, it paved the way for transformation and healing to take place. It's just very, very simple. Ernest Holmes said in The Science of Mind, when we abandon God in our hour of need, have we ever known God at all? You know, sometimes people disappear themselves from the center, from this spiritual community when they are having difficulties and they're having troubles. That's the time when those people really need to be here. They need to be here because this is the constant energy of spirit. God is always God, no matter what our objective situation or our emotional storm. Ernest Holmes said that as well. So here was this wonderful being of light and truth explaining to all of us that first night about source energy that remains constant. Now he's fairly new to the science of mind. And he finds it just fascinating how congruent the science of mind is with the work that he's doing. But as he said, he resonated with our teaching immediately. And he particularly loved the idea of spiritual mind treatment as a way to transform our lives. That was the component that was missing for him in his medical practice. It's about us being our own practitioners. And when we notice a level of frustration in our lives, that's the first indication that there is incoherence. That's the first indication that we have. There's 3 stages to incoherence. The first one is frustration. The second one is resignation. And the third one is cynicism. You don't want to even go there. You don't want to go there because you're back in the victim consciousness mode, as Jay said. And so when we begin to notice that we're frustrated, that's our first opportunity to really be our own practitioners. And frustration can show up in the physical body as congestion, pain, or discomfort. Anyone here, just as sort of a rhetorical question, but anyone here feeling a little frustrated after the last debates? Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. So if I feel angry at one candidate or another, I am in an incoherent place because anger in and of itself changes nothing in the physical reality. Nothing. It's only a catalyst for change. You see, when we notice the incongruency or the incoherence, we are acknowledging our separation from source. We're acknowledging our separation, our temporary separation from spirit. We're noticing our separation from the creative intelligence that moves in and through every one of us. We become unsettled or discontent, or have a bout of undefined malaise that we don't even know what it is. We just feel a little crappy. Have you ever noticed that, right? Dr. Hirano said that we're our enlightened beings, and then life gets in the way. Oh, so he said, what is enlightenment? Well, what is transformation through grace? It's the same thing. Enlightenment is that exact moment when we realize that no one or no thing bothers us. That's true enlightenment. Not Donald Trump, not Hillary Clinton, not our former spouse, not our employer, not our siblings, not our parents, not the woman on the freeway who cut me off as I traveled here this morning. Well, maybe her just a little, just a little. Enlightenment, actually, I cut somebody off. So I kind of turned it around for the benefit of the story. As my dad used to say, you know, Maureen never really lies, but she does embellish a little bit. So enlightenment is that exact moment when we realize we're not bothered by anyone or anything. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? You know, I always say we're masterpieces, every one of us. Everyone here today is a masterpiece, but we're still a work in progress. Dr. Hirano deals with the physical body, but what about the body of our affairs? Do my likes and dislikes affect my breathing and my heart rate? He said, start to pay close attention to that. When I listen to a particular candidate, am I prone to judgment and criticism? Does my heart race and my breathing become accelerated? And he said, if so, pray. Pray. Emerson said in Spiritual Laws that we all live at the middle point of the pairs of opposites, where everything can either be affirmed or denied with equal reason. We can affirm or deny with equal reason. And in the end, all of life is based on the pairs of opposites, isn't it? But the beauty of the science of mind is that, well, we can choose to affirm our life's experience or we can deny it. At the core, our life is both and. It's a series of affirmations and denials. It's like a tennis match, living life in the human experience. Life is a constant round of affirmation and denial. That's the human experience. But at the level of spirit, there is no such thing. And so for us to have this transformation through grace, we have to go to that spiritual aspect of who we are. When we feel angry or upset about the debates, for instance, we can see the accuracy of that statement. There are things that I agree with, and as I said, there are things I disagree with. And do these agreements or disagreements affect my breathing and my heart rate? You know, when we're angry, we actually physically change color. The face becomes suffused with color. And so if those things do affect my heart rate or my breathing, then I'm disconnected from source energy. The wise religious scientist is the one who recognizes the disconnection from source energy and seeks to find a way to reconnect. You know, we know that sooner than later now. If you're brand new to this teaching today, this is something that you'll get to learn over time. The lows get higher of shorter duration and less frequency when we begin to stay in truth for longer and longer periods of time. We never actually reach that permanent wise stage in the human experience, as Emerson says. We have glimpses of wisdom. We have glimpses of that fourth kingdom or cosmic consciousness. And boy, those are so rich and so fulfilling that we'd like to stay there all the time, but we can't. We would have to be on a mountaintop all by ourselves, alone, without any distractions. And most of us need to be in the world. We need to operate from a worldly experience. Those glimpses may be the bait that keeps us coming back time and time again to this teaching. Now, again, you might not believe everything you hear, but you might hear something that you already believe. When we are transformed through grace, it is all-consuming because, as I said, it does creep up on us on angels' feet. One day we wake up and we notice that we've not had a disparaging thought about our ex-husband in weeks. People in our daily experience seem to be smiling a lot more. Or we're always on time and we don't have to show up as an apology. It becomes easier and easier to tell people that we love them and not have to invest in a 20-year relationship with them. We find ourselves in service in a bigger way, knowing that it is just as important to give as it is to receive. And also, we notice that generosity is at the forefront of our daily experience. You know, the most wonderful words sometimes a person can hear is, how can I help? How can I help? Gratitude begets gratitude. And life just takes on an ease and a contentment through grace that we might not have had before. We don't have to tell anyone that we are wise or good, because they notice that about us. They see the real me. You see the real me. I see the real you. And they want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, like it says in another program. So they follow us. They follow us here to a Sunday service, because this is the place where we feel most that transformation through grace. Emerson said, each of us is a selecting principle, gathering what is most like us to us wherever we go. What is most like us to us? That's the law of attraction. He also said, what my heart thinks great is great. What my heart thinks loving is loving. What my heart thinks wonderful is wonderful. The awareness of this is the transformation through grace. We cannot learn what we have not prepared to learn. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I am therefore open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth. Show me what I need to know. God, show me what I need to know most about myself so that I can recognize that in you. That's what we're here to do. I need to know all the goodness about myself that I can possibly know. And as this teaching is a law of attraction, it's also a law of reflection. And so when we're reflecting that goodness back to other people, we cannot help but have a community that is upbeat, that is loving, that is generous, that is kind. Every day, our spiritual practice is a preparation to learn something new through a specific mentor or teacher, like I personally have with my friend Maria Hoyt. She's my mentor. But every single student that I've ever had in any class that has ever even just passed through a classroom has been my mentor and my teacher. Every emotion, every quality in my mind is magnified in some acquaintance, some family member, some political candidate, or some person walking down the street. They are a reflection of my anger and my joy. They are a reflection of my happiness and my sadness. They are a reflection of my hate and my love. Every person I meet has some aspect of myself. So my charge to you today, beloved Global Truth Center audience, is to make a daily decision to get happy. Ask yourself first thing in the morning, why am I so happy? Now, I got to tell you about that. The brain cannot not answer that question. You're compelled to answer that question because I have a roof over my head, because I have clothes on my back, because I have food to eat, because I have good friends, because I have healthy children. I have a loving spouse and enough money to put big bucks in the offering plate this morning. When we do that, transformation comes not only with grace, but clarity and focus as well, knowing that with God, all things are possible. Will you join me in consciousness, please? And so today, going to that perfect place of peace within, that inner sanctuary, that place where all transformation takes place, there is grace, there is beauty, there is harmony, there is joy, and there is celebration. All the ancestors that have gone before us are joyously celebrating our arrival to this day, to this time, to this moment. And because we are open to learning whatever it is that we need to learn today, we are open and receptive to God's living Spirit of truth. I know today that for each and every person here, as a work in progress, I am open to knowing more and more of that pure essence of Spirit within. I am open to knowing grace and ease. I am more open to being what I was intended to be on this planet called Earth, and that is to love and to be loved. Nothing more, nothing less. And so today, I simply welcome every opportunity to create that energy, that wonderful source energy in every single experience in my life. I am open and receptive to God's living Spirit of truth by means of every person, affirmed or denied, in my experience. And today I know that as I do it, the transformation through grace comes with clarity, focus, and ease. And I am a greater person for having experienced it. And so from this place in consciousness today, I just simply know that as I joyfully receive and give thanks for the opportunity to be who I am, I don't have to be anybody else because they're already taken. I simply have to be who I am, stand in my truth, and let God demonstrate itself by means of me as we joyously say together, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you.